College Football Connection podcast with Marty Jenkins and Alvin Reid on 101 ESPN.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. College Football Connection on the YouTube stream, boys. It's been such a great start to this campaign. I'm loving doing this with you, gentlemen. We got to bring the heat, though, this upcoming week. We had a little bit of a rough week last week, but, you know, there was a lot of unexpected things that went down last weekend.
You have us off to a good start by bumping that music. I love that buffer into the show. There we go.
Yes, sir. Alvin, how you doing, my man?
Oh, man, I'm great.
Alvin Reid, capital A, capital R, Jayhawks. You, my man?
Game of Bruns. Game of Bruns. Yes, sir.
Marty, 101 ESPN. Boys, we had a lot transpire last weekend. Alvin, I'm sorry. I did not take your call during the Notre Dame law. I didn't want to field any calls at that moment.
Understood.
And I was standing in Memorial Stadium, and I think at that particular time, KU was clinging to a 4-point lead, which we decided to throw away with 36 seconds left in the first half, changed the entire game, had more yards, had more first downs, had more time of possession, did not have more points when the game ended. So, hey, kudos to Illinois. Sold out. Yeah. Fans were very, very high energy. Students stormed the field after the game. Mm-hmm. There's nothing.
When you beat a power like that,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said, like, people storming the field because they beat KU. We have improved. So
palpable energy throughout the game.
Palpable energy throughout. I think a couple of times we had them on the ropes, just couldn't land that punch that would have taken them out. Crazy rule, kid muffs a punt and it goes to the end zone and they recover. If he had caught it, fumbled, and went in the end zone, it would have been safety. But they got the ball to 20 and then drove 80 yards to take the lead. So, look, more power to Illinois. They deserve to win. I think Kansas threw the game away.
Business as usual in Como, my friend, last weekend?
Yeah, I'm hearing all of these sentiments from you guys. I'm sorry, I can't exactly relate. I don't have anything about which to quibble. It was another tremendous atmosphere at Memorial Stadium. Memorial Stadium to be renovated beginning effective November the 30th. $250 million going to be poured in. That's later on down the road. However, Eli Drinkwitz talked about it after the game, and when you do have that presence in the stands and you're able to cultivate that sort of environment, even for the non-heavyweights, boy, that bodes especially well with a surprisingly ranked Boston College team coming to Columbia in a matter of days. Boys, it is no longer Murray State. It is no longer Buffalo. It is an actual team from the ACC, and a surprise one at that. Perhaps the 89-0 run ends this weekend.
Actual team with an actual coach.
And keep doing things.
Yeah, exactly. And if nothing else,
turning heads, right?
Right. If nothing else, got the kids believing. He's like, we play our game. Mm-hmm. We could go in here and accomplish something at Missouri.
Perhaps better suited for the college game all along. I'm just saying, maybe.
Well, no,
maybe.
you very much. I can't argue with that.
One.
I can't argue with that.
I was taking a look at this with my buddies earlier. This game hasn't moved.
No.
We are stead pat. 16 and a half, 54. We've seen BC. They won at FSU. Whew, holy smokes. Smoked Duquesne last weekend. I really like O'Brien's squad. Castellanos is good. They have a solid rushing attack. But I take a look at this line. Okay, we're at 16 and a half. Cook's going to do his thing. LB3 is going to do his thing. You got a bevy of receivers. I think I saw that 6 or more of their receivers this year have 5 catches or more.
With ease.
Yeah, with ease. But, it's not going to be with ease this weekend. 54 points, though. And bear in mind, folks, appreciate you guys listening. We started off rough the last year, the first 2 weeks, and then we caught fire. We're going to catch fire this weekend and start with this one. Lots of points in Como this weekend. Lots of points. I love BC in the over.
Do you now?
BC in the over, baby.
All right. Like to tweak it a little bit from the outset. That is totally fine. Now, Marty, your points, They are duly noted when it comes to the sound quarterback play that has been had at the position that has been enjoyed by BC through 2 games. However, here's my issue when looking at the way in which that offense is really constructed. Bill O'Brien wants to run the ball as well, and he has been able to run it very successfully through the first couple of weeks with that 3-headed monster in the backfield. This is where the fun comes to an end, though, for Boston College, because Missouri's defense last weekend when we were on the scene in Como, I did not quite give enough credence to the fact that this Missouri defense, guys, this is the first unit since 2019. It was Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken, that posted back-to-back shutouts to begin a season. All you hear about right now, because relative to their gargantuan statistical standards, Brady Cook and Luther Burden have not gotten off so far. It is all about that defense, and it's about a defense, Alvin, that has been able to come at the opposition. Yes, granted, Murray State and Buffalo in waves, and what I'm loving right now, Marty, when I'm seeing this group, the defensive line, Corey Batoon at the helm, rotating his guys up front and getting fresh boundary edge rushers in their series in and series out. It reminds me a lot the way in which they're trying to present this front on defense, this alignment. It reminds me a lot of the way in which the Georgias, the Alabamas want to go about it, because if you have that much depth and you're able to keep the core players, the most core contributors fresh well into the second half, that is going to do nothing but enhance your prospects down the stretch. And I think that's where, just given how stout Missouri has been against the run, I think it continues here, because leading that charge is none other than the Florida transfer, Chris McClellan. He has been terrific from the outset this season. I think Missouri sets the tone in that regard this weekend, and this is the matchup as well in which Cook, Burden, health permitting. Bear in mind, he missed more than 2 quarters last week with an illness. According to the head coach, though, a couple of days ago, is doing much better right now. This is the opportunity for them to come out, post the numbers, because last week it was all about Theo Weiss, and he's a team captain. He, too, is an NFL draft prospect. He's a graduate senior. He goes out there for 13 catches, a career high. That's because right now Buffalo, like so many other opposing defenses into which MU is running, they are scared to death of giving up the big play over the top against the plethora of Missouri deep threats. They are going to get burned, the Eagles that is, at one point or another. Repeatedly this weekend, Mizzou is going to be able to get aerial down the field. Give me Mizzou by 3 tutties here, and BC in garbage time doing enough to push that overall point total up too.
You rolling with me?
Yes,
right,
sir.
Well, I got BC, but you got Mizzou. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Who did y'all play the first 2 weeks of the season?
I'm well aware. I'm well aware.
The Racers, baby.
Who did the 2s and the 3s play for at least half of those tilts?
All right. And they, for all I know, they might be in the game at halftime this go round. But no. Bill O'Brien's going to run the ball, and he's going to do clock management. He won't be playing desperate like these other teams have had to play against Missouri. I think Boston College covers the 16.5. I am going to go different than you guys. I'm going to go to under, okay?
I can see it.
And I'm kind of like hedging my own bet, because once again, I think if the under does fall, it'll be because Missouri actually stops them on defense. And that's been my killer on the over-unders as far as Missouri is concerned. I mean, it's one thing to say that, well, I don't think the other team will score that many points, but I did think they'd score points. And, one team gets 0. It's hard to do an over if one team gets 0. So I'm going to go with Boston College. I am going to go with the under on this one.
Okay.
Your rationale is solid. Bradford, I just think that you are running into a seasoned coach who really can look at the film and say, like, all right, this is what we're going to do to keep ourselves in the ball game, and they're going to stick to that game plan, and he's going to tell them what Northern Illinois did last week at Notre Dame, and say, like, let's play that game.
I'm with you. He's great as far as diagnosing, deconstructing what the opposition wants to do, but the Tigers and Coach Moore on the offensive side of the football, they have more than taken a page out of the O'Brien playbook insofar as last weekend, yes, I know, against the Buffalo Bulls, you held the ball for more than 38 minutes. Okay, so that's fine. You want to take away some of the intermediate to deep threats? We will run the ball with the likes of Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll, and maybe even sprinkle some freshmen in, because the offensive line keep in mind, last week you didn't even have the anchor Cameron Johnson. He's going to be back in there this week. Maybe you get Norfleet at the tight end position too. Mizzou has not been operating with its full arsenal as of yet. That changes Saturday morning.
All right. Somebody loses probably in the. Nah, no, maybe not this week. I'm gonna say all they gotta do is win the game. They'll be 5 or 4. But I don't see anybody losing of that top 6 this week. I don't think the games just aren't there.
You got a ranked team coming in Saturday. Rain?
It's possible.
Okay, well,
nobody seems to know with this Francine thing.
BC wants that wet track. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, even rain or no rain, football's in full swing. Saturday, that should be 90%. It should. I expect that to be 90% full.
It's going to be.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just talking about. We talked about the attendance the first 2 games.
But I mean,
I know the opponent.
Right.
But,
You got number 24 coming in.
Yeah.
And it is a showcase game in that. All right, everybody's expecting us. We're supposed to win by 17 points, and the number 24 team is coming in. I think even Mizzou fans says, I want to be there to see them do that.
Last Saturday was stronger than anticipated. I expected some regression a la you, Marty, in that attendance department, ever so slightly from the opener, just given how much press and ink was provided and contributed along those lines. And yet, it looked almost identical to me in the stands. Yeah.
Hey, let's move over a few states and talk about some of the best atmosphere and tradition in all of college football. Camp Randall going to be rocking this weekend, boys. It's going to be rocking for about 5 minutes.
Well played.
The pregame going to be hype. Everything's going to be hype.
And between the third and fourth quarter when they lose it by 35
Yeah,
points.
by the time House of Pain Jump Around comes on, we're sitting at 58-3.
Good night.
No, but seriously, this is going to be a fantastic atmosphere. This one has moved from 51.5 to 49. And the point spread, 8.5 to 16.5. Now, listen, last weekend, watching with my boys, we had our eyes feasted on that South Florida game for a hot second, okay? That quickly turned into a Bama rout, but they hung with them a little bit. I think opponent is a lot to do with this team, Milroe and company, but, here's 4 words why this is going to be a laugher this weekend. South Dakota and Western Michigan. They struggle with those teams for lots of the game. Going to be a great atmosphere. Not your typical Wisconsin team, with the bruisers year in, year out. He's done well going 2-0 thus far, but this just isn't a Wisconsin team. The Alabama secondary, forget about it. Wisconsin's not going to score. Well, I could see them maybe putting up 7 to 10, but Bama, I don't want to say coming out party. We saw Milroe last year and what he did, but coming out for this season. Okay, USF, we passed that exit. Here we go. This is the Bama team everybody's going to be dealing with this year. Bama in the over, although I am going to be locked in on that game because it is going to be a hell of an atmosphere there for a few minutes.
I am skeptical of the over-under figure here. I am not whatsoever, Alvin, surprised by the number by which Alabama is favored, though. Now, I will say this. Alabama, Marty, I agree. As long as Alabama once again doesn't shoot itself in the proverbial foot when it comes to infractions, much like Missouri. If there's been one qualm with which I've had pertaining to the Tigers so far this season, it's been very Crimson Tide-esque as far as the penalties have been concerned. Okay? Alabama last week, that was more of a game than it needed to be for a stretch, for a period of time, because when you're committing 13 penalties, I don't want to write that off as merely, early in the season sloppiness. That has to be corrected when you are a team, Alvin, that is assertive about winning at the point of attack. And I do think it gets corrected this weekend because Alabama's recipe here, regardless of how much of a game breaker down the field with the cannon of an arm Milroe can be, it is trying to blow Wisconsin off of the football up front. Wisconsin's secondary, pretty solid overall, although I think there will be a ton of trouble that is about to be caused by one Ryan Williams. Boy, is he ever an explosive game breaker in his own right down the field. Wisconsin, though, up front, and we haven't even seen the Crimson Tide either operating with a full complement of beefy offensive linemen. They're going to run the ball nonstop. They're going to run it down Wisconsin's throat, and early in that game, try to take the crowd out of it by one, being able to put that premium on ball possession, ball security, and that is going to open things up progressively, Alvin, in the second half for Milroe to do his thing over the top.
And I don't think it'll be his arm. I think it'll be his legs.
Okay.
I think he's got 75 plus. It's just one of those games where technically you got to do what you got to do. And I think if it's not there, he'll just take the ball down and just take off running and say, like, you're going to have to beat me in the offense instead of you're going to have to beat our offense and me. I just think I see that happening. This will, like I said, you can't, a guy that, damn near played for the national championship, you can't call this coming out party.
No, just for this year.
But for this year, based on what has happened so far, I think he takes this game over. I do.
And to be totally honest, Marty, this was a tremendous stat that I actually saw provided by True Media the other day. If it gets into more of that classic shootout mode, Wisconsin simply doesn't have the horses to run with Bama. 133rd out of 134 qualifying FBS teams in explosive plays through 2 weeks.
Van Dyke ain't that dude.
And look at the competition. Enough said.
Right. And I do have Alabama covering. I'm going to leave the over and under alone on this one because 49 is scary to me. I just seem like that. I think that's too low, but maybe they're telling me something.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave the over under, but I do have Alabama covering on that.
Over under?
I'm leaving that one alone.
Okay,
Yeah.
y'all ain't
Because
touching, y'all
I'm
ain't touching
scared.
that.
I'm scared, right? Because Alabama might win 17-0. So I like.
Yeah.
I will abstain for the first time this season.
Me too. That's my first abstention also.
Speaking of a line that's moved a little bit up to 9 now, I saw. KU try to bounce back after what transpired in Champaign last weekend. Open at 7, at 9, 57.5, 58.5. Listen, UNLV smoked Houston. That's not much to write home about, but Houston is a quality team that's going to be put on the.
They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not hating on UNLV. I'm just saying that Houston is pretty bad.
They are pretty bad. But let's see, the under. What did that? 57.5 to 58.5.
58.5.
58.5. Okay.
Little shift.
UNLV offense shaky. Quarterback is 14 for 30 on the year thus far.
Nope.
I gotta roll with. I think it should be a lot more than that. 7 to 8.5. I usually roll the other direction, but I think Rock Chalk wins this one by 21 to 24, Alvin, and I got to take the over in this one.
All right. Things have to change. They did not play well. Jalen Daniels looked terrible. The offensive coordinator got a D. I'd have to say. You got one guy averaging 7 yards a carry, another one just over 5, and they get 22 carries together for the whole game.
Unacceptable.
22.
Yeah, like one time during the game, only once, I stood up. I think it was after his second interception, and I yelled, "What are we doing?"
On the road, too.
Right.
You want to
It's just
take the air out of the football even more.
So hey, let's just try to just run them over. And if they stop us, and they may turn them, you got the ball at your own 40 or whatever. If they stop us, punt.
So be it.
Put them inside the 10-yard line.
If anybody
Stop
has video
'em.
of Alvin yelling that, please send it.
I
Sorry, go ahead.
But I honestly did. I just said, "What are we doing?" Right? And I think some of the Illinois fans looked at me. They're kind of thinking, like, "Yeah, that was kind of stupid, right there." I said, "Yeah." So that being said, UNLV was. I don't want to call them dirty. But, man, they were some cheap shot artists in that ball game last year. And somebody pointed out to me that the line before the bowl game changed dramatically, okay? KU was favored by a lot, and it dropped. And I wrote in my column, I am not a conspiracy guy, okay? After the game back in January, I said, I'm not a conspiracy guy. But when KU was up 3 touchdowns, that officiating crew, you could jam a KU guy in the face, all right, and he'd put his arm out and get a 15-yard penalty. And it just looked like, what in the world is going on? It just seemed odd. I think KU remembers that. I think KU will basically say, all right, look, that game, we were killing them, and we let them back in. Let's not let them back in this time. Let's take care of our business. Let's run the football. Let's do everything we need to do. I'm telling you, though, I think UNLV plays them within the 9. All right. I'm not sold yet on us offensively after that performance. How many points are we going to score? I'm telling you, UNLV, I think, covers the 9, and on the 58.5, I'm going with the under.
By the way, is that another not so thinly veiled shot against MU, ex-coach Odom? Maybe. I don't know. Am I looking too far into it? No.
Not at all. I don't put it on him, although his kids was kind of out of control. They tried to start a fight.
Touche.
With like, all right, little stuff like that. Not little stuff. All right, Jason Bean, who was the quarterback at the time. All right, after all this game is like 4 hours long, and it's been cheap and dirty, and KU's got it under control. And my man tries to just kneel on the final play of the game. And some dude from UNLV just charges in there and just hits him for no reason. Just like, what is that? So I think they'll remember that. If nothing else, they'll remember the last play of that game.
Hey, real quick, Bradford, just out of curiosity, who do they play next week? Just out of curiosity, the Jayhawks?
At West Virginia.
Okay.
In Morgantown?
Yeah, in Morgantown.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, I was too when they played Penn State. Where did that get me? That got me a double loss.
Plus the cameras. For that.
Oh, man.
They need this one. I fundamentally believe that. And at the same time, I'm gun shy about inching closer to that over-under figure in this one as well. I'm going to stay away from it. Second round. But knowing everything that is on the table here for Kansas and the fact that we used the term coming out party for the 2024 campaign in reference to the previous matchup with Alabama and Wisconsin. Right here, right now, it is the spot. It is the limelight for Mr. Daniels at quarterback.
Right, okay.
This begs for a signature outing, a big-time performance both aerially and with the ground game from KU's quarterback. I don't think through the duration of 3-4 quarters that UNLV is going to be able to spy him enough. Yeah, the familiarity with the matchup is there, but at the same time, again, you did not see him last season in that context. You did not see him in the same way. KU, just call it a gut feeling more than anything else, and I know that there were many issues at different times of that ball game in Champaign. But the Jayhawks, this is the get-right opportunity. This is really the litmus test for the remainder of September with the Morgantown showdown on the way. Alvin, they need this game, and I'm rolling with the gut here. Daniels goes off and has one of the best Week 3 performances across the nation. Kansas minus the points.
All right, and they have to play better on offense than they did last week.
Sustained drives.
That's right.
On the ball.
And don't actually, if they don't throw 3 interceptions and they fumbled like right before halftime, which led to the interception that Illinois took the game. Arnold, it's a reverse, and he's got a blocker on a defensive back and nothing but green in front of him. He gets the handoff, and the ball just flies out of his hand. So he loses 7 yards, okay? Then that's when the play calling got on drugs. Like, why don't you just try to run the half out? Like, no, we're going to, throw lateral passes across the field and just bad decisions, bad play calling. I think they can overcome that, but they got to prove it. Look, Jayhawks, you rolled them for 50 in the bowl game, 50 plus. Why am I afraid? Are you going to score 4 touchdowns in this game? Go out there and do it.
Kids, no more illicit stuff.
Yeah.
The entire fourth quarter last weekend, I kept saying to my buddies next to me, I said, don't worry, Kansas is going to come back and win this game. They'll be fine. It may even cover. They'll be fine. And it never happened. I couldn't believe it.
It just never materialized. And that was just one of those games, leaving the stadium. And I'm sure KU was leaving the stadium too. They said,
what just happened?
What just happened? I can't believe we lost that game. I can believe we lost that game. I'm just standing there watching it, and you're watching from high up the stadium. It's kind of like, you're a little 11-11 looking on down and saying man, that's why I just said, I don't know what we're doing.
Hey,
we hand the ball off, guys are gaping holes. Next thing I know, we're throwing the ball to the other team.
I know people are probably watching, and listening, saying, Marty, calm down. It wasn't that big of an upset. Well, I think it was because I thought Kansas was that much better than the Illini. I didn't even think it was going to be a game. And, all you got to do, Daniel, is put together a drive and put a touchdown up. And I thought he'd do that a couple times in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The very next night, granted, it was pro football. But what did the Detroit Lions do? They decided, all right, until they stop us, we're just going to hand the ball off. And they remember, just run them over. I don't care if it's second down, third down, we're going to hand the ball off. And I think somebody need to realize that Jalen Daniels has not got it tonight. I don't know why. Maybe they got the right schemes going against us, but the one thing they haven't done is stop us from running the football.
Let's change this game plan.
Yeah, how about we just change that and just tell everybody about, hey, we're going to run the next 20 plays. We're going to run the ball 18 times. Okay, just everybody buckle up their chin strap and let's go. And it just never happened.
Speaking of run the ball, and a moment of yelling, "What in God's name are you doing?" All that Notre Dame had to do. Riley Leonard hasn't thrown a touchdown all season. It was 2nd and 1. 2nd and 1.
Yeah.
All you got to do is run the ball there. Another 3 or 4 minutes gets chopped off the clock.
That's it.
And the game's over.
And the game's over. Yeah.
You're 2-0. Run the ball. But no, you want to take a shot down
Wait,
the field.
bomb. That's the thing I didn't understand. Like,
Hero ball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like not only did you pass, but let's throw the ball
In the middle of the field. Let's
Yeah.
air it out, you know, like it's one of them Nerf things with the wings on it back in the day. You know, and Riley Leonard, I
Those
mean,
were fun.
you and I and you, we would not have made that pass. That was just a horrible, like, you know, red shirt sophomore in high school type of pass. You do not make that into the coverage they had. And how do you not see him? I can't believe it. All you got to do is run the ball. You
Portal
win the
times
game.
2. Portal times 2. Hey.
Yeah.
Man, I went from loving Riley Leonard a couple weeks ago.
It's early. It's early.
It's early. It got late quick, didn't it?
I've seen a lot of shows. Even ESPN was talking about, does Notre Dame still have a chance to make the playoff?
If they run straight. I said the same thing if they lost to Texas A&M. But how do you beat Texas A&M, come home, lose to Northern
Marcus Freeman said it. They bought into the hype. And
Yeah.
and that's on Freeman. And, you know, a lot of people are on Freeman. And, you know, despite their good records every year, you know, is he that dude?
Well, I think that he is in his 3rd season. And I just rue this. All right, we ain't won the national championship yet, so we got to move on. No, just let the man coach the team for, when I say a considerable period of time, I mean at least 5 years.
Oh.
So you truly have your own team.
If only
and your
5
own-
years was the mark nowadays.
Well, I know, but
Doesn't
Not
work
bad.
that way.
it
You
doesn't
better-
work.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
I think that's
no,
ridiculous.
No, yeah, that's just ridiculous. Let's just let him coach. All right, and let me tell you what, it'd be one thing if our boy was down at LSU just running the table on people, but that's who left for greener pastures.
So sick.
Hey, some dudes in college basketball ain't even getting 1 year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
frustrated.
I just think, all right, Notre Dame, they should have won, but they lost. So let's win all the rest of our games.
Blow the doors off the Boilermakers. It'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
It
It'll be
all
okay.
comes around.
Right.
And they need Northern Illinois to run the table, I think.
Well, Northern Illinois could be the Power 5 team.
You never know.
You never know.
That'd be good. I guess we still got hope.
Rematch. That'd be hysterical.
Too early. Al.
Who's hosting?
Oh, who's hosting?
Hey, yeah, let's play this bad boy in DeKalb. Hey, Civil War, boys.
All right.
Civil War this weekend.
I don't know if you can call it that any longer. Is
Hey,
it SA?
they got a conference now.
Hey, real
They-
quick.
they, you know, they got
No.
some-
A lot of people were really surprised by that today, and it's getting a great reception. You know, I was going to mention this at the top. You get Boise State, you get Colorado State, San Diego State. I really like, and Fresno State. And now there's talk that over the last 12 to 18 hours, a lot of other schools are reaching out saying they want to be a part of it. So all of a sudden, you go from one team to having these teams. That was a big, nice move by them today.
Yeah, well, Pac-12 was very interested in San Diego State coming into the conference back even kind of before all this started,
Yeah,
and
true.
USC and UCLA would not allow it. Just said, no, we are not.
That's a hard no on
That
that
was a
one.
hard no. So I thought San Diego State would be amongst the first teams come in because you knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, and like I said, Boise, Colorado State, and we're going to talk, maybe talk about it briefly at the end of the show, but that's a conference, okay?
Yeah.
You got to get to 8.
And on the hardwood, that's a
right, yeah,
conference.
that's good. So you get to your 8, you got a conference again.
Teams reaching out.
Right.
Shoot, they may be in their
it's
8 tomorrow.
And I thought this too, man. Everybody's saying like, man, it's crazy for these schools to like be going from the West Coast to wherever. Man, there's a lot of schools sitting around here that would probably say like Big 12. Huh?
Hey now.
We can go west. Why do all the schools have to come east? Maybe, just maybe, if I'm out here in the Midwest and I'm not in one of the major conferences, right? Or maybe, just maybe, if I'm sick of the ACC, maybe we like, hey, yeah, right. ACC, you can have SMU and Cal. How about Florida State, Clemson? How about we play in the Pac-12?
Yeah, all of
Things could get wild, I think.
Yeah, it just anything could happen. So anyway, good for them.
Good for them.
Right. But Oregon State's about to get their ass kicked.
Oh, yeah. I forgot there was a game.
Oregon State. It's not going to fly in the same way that it did against San Diego State a weekend ago.
No. I think coming out parties. Dan Landy's going to say, now look, y'all.
And this has gone the opposite way. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's gone from 20 and a half to 16
Yes,
and a
down
half.
to say, right.
Yes.
And I think Landy's going to say, look, y'all, okay, seriously. No matter what went down these first two games, the idea of these cats beating us, no. This is like their Colorado from last year. Like, oh, man, okay, good for them. They're mad at us because we left them high and dry.
Yeah.
Now they're getting their conference back. We're going to run out on that field in Corvallis. They're going to be fired up.
We've already gone from number 3 to number 9. We're not tumbling anymore.
Right.
Dylan Gabriel.
We ain't lost. We tumbling down we talking about Oregon's got a good shot of winning the national championship. They talking about is Oregon, can Oregon compete in the Big Ten? Oh, yeah. They take it out on Oregon State.
Okay. All right. So how about you got a feel on the over?
We're blasting the over on that one.
Blasting
Do you
it.
still got it at 50.5?
50.5.
All right, yes. Oregon covers the 16, and we're over 50.5. Oregon gets their stuff together.
So many things were unpleasant from an aesthetic standpoint in that contest against Boise State. Now, I give a ton of credit to Boise State. Boise State is
a real football program.
That's the thing. Boise State is the linchpin
Houston
of
isn't.
the resurrected
Sorry, Bradford.
Pac-12. It is. It has been that way for the last 10 to 15 years. All of us would contend as much. But I'm sorry. I'm not putting a lot of stock or a lot of credence into what Oregon State has been able to accomplish so far this season. McCoy has been just fine. He's been good to great at quarterback, but I still trust in the Ducks front four, in its surplus of edge rushers and athletes to get into that opposing backfield to create some penetration and wreak havoc, okay? Oregon State wants to maintain possession of the football, wants to rely on that defense, a defense that, yes, was able to shut out San Diego State and has only allowed an average of 7.5 points per game this season. But I'm sorry, this is the weekend in which the Ducks, they are flying, they get right, and Gabriel has not been the problem for all intents and purposes so far this season. He has not been the issue. But things have been a little funky. The lack of cohesiveness up front, there's been a trickle-down effect. This is a hunch, but, I mean, let's just look at the overall constitution of the roster and the talent on paper as well as out there on the field. Oregon runs away by 20-plus, and because of the sheer number of points put up primarily by the Ducks, give me that over. Oh, no.
You go. They're going to hit
go
over
up,
it. Okay.
up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got to roll with you guys. First of all, these teams 2-0, a dicey 2-0 from both teams for sure. But I think both lines for Oregon are just going to dominate the game. And I mean, I got to roll with you guys. I think the Ducks and the over, and I think this one's over by the end of by halftime.
Yeah.
Over in the Ducks, all of us over in Ducks. Quack quack. I'd be remiss if I didn't give love. Pacific Northwest out there in Seattle, we got a game this weekend too. We're not going to get into that one, but I just want to give love because both teams are undefeated. Another rivalry game this weekend. Washington does play Washington State in Seattle. Okay, let's shift back to the Midwest, the Illini. And first I look at this. Yeah, they know damn way the Illini should be 18.5 point favorites over anybody.
Boy, that's a lot.
Lindenwood, nobody.
Right. And it was 20, so they pushed 18. Right.
18.5, 53 to 48.5.
I
Ain't buying it.
I ain't buying that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Look, Illinois, I watched you play. Okay. I ain't buying that. I'm sorry.
So you like
I like Central Michigan to cover.
you like the chips?
Yes, I do.
Fire up chips.
18 and a
Anthony
half.
Stalter.
I think they cover the 18.5. They don't win, and I'm also going with the under on 49.5. I'm
Okay.
going with the under on that one.
Okay.
Like I'm sorry. Look, Illinois played scrappy. Illinois did a lot of good things in that game. Illinois had one offensive touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to beat somebody by 8.5 to
18
points?
I posed the question. Do we have a bunch of Anthony Stalter clones in this room right now? Are you kidding me? Illinois should, for all intents and purposes, be favored by more than 20 in this matchup. I don't care where the game's being played. I don't care when it is being played. The fact of the matter is that the fire-up Chips, proud Central Michigan. What did Central Michigan do last weekend, Alvin?
they got stopped.
Against Florida International?
The Panthers, FIU?
Florida International? Oh, that's right. Lost by nearly 40. How many times did the Chips turn over the football?
Well, will they do that against
Bradford's fired
Illinois?
up.
6
And
times.
we had it 3 times.
Hey,
You're right.
Suddenly
6.
the interest for this game just got
Look.
a lot more.
Luke Altmaier is about to do his thing for a 3rd consecutive week. You tell me how that secondary is going to, in any way, shape, or form, contain Pat Bryant, who suddenly looks like one of the biggest playmakers in the Big Ten.
You
This
realize,
is a runaway.
you realize
This
70,
is great. I love
So
it.
runaway.
70 yards of his passing were on 2 miraculous catches by one of their receivers.
Have to make the plays. Make the plays.
Okay.
I'm assuming you're going with the over, too.
No, I'm not touching that.
Oh, okay.
Back away.
I'm going to play the under because, look, I think Illinois wins, but, dude, I'm sorry, man.
Did you see that ferocity last week at Brett Bielema post game? He's
Okay.
feeling it. He's feeling it.
Here's another one for you. Okay. If they were at 99%, they're going to be about 79%. Ain't nobody going to the game to see the Chippewas, man. I'm telling you.
You're trying to run it to 3-0 for the first time since
Yeah,
2011.
right. And the boy, that was fun last week. Will be lost in the how we struggling against this team. All right. I'm sorry, Illinois.
Hey,
I was impressed with you because you hung in there and you won. But was I impressed with you overall as a football team? No, I was not. I'm sorry.
and Alvin, I am sorry because they're not going to be able to get any pressure on it. The Illini are going to run for 400 yards in this game.
Okay,
And,
all right.
and I think the Illini do roll.
What they
in
run
this
for? Like about 40 last? Come on, y'all.
So
Illini
ran for 40
the
more
over.
than Colorado.
Illini in the over.
All right.
Illini in the over. Suddenly the interest for this content.
All right.
Hey, make sure y'all return my text during that contest.
Yeah, all right, Central Michigan and the
We're
under.
going to get the dialogue going on
All
that
right.
one. All right. Blitz pick. You requested it, Alvin. Our boy Deion. Ooh.
How did that work out last weekend, boys?
Man, I thought they were going to go in there and win last weekend.
I played Nebraska cheap, but more importantly, Colorado's offensive and defensive line, dude, they're terrible. They're horrible. I don't care what Deion Sanders is talking about.
Mhm.
Oh my God. Like, if I had known you were really, really that bad, I would have never made that pick. I'm like, it was looking like, hey, there's one of those, they're just pushing them out of the way. Let's go attack the quarterback on every play.
It's bad.
It was bad.
It was really
bad.
bad. Had to turn it
Is
off.
Nebraska that good?
No.
When I say that good, everybody's talking about Nebraska's back and they're going to be a force in the Big Ten. I'm like, y'all need to calm down a little
Pump
bit.
the brakes for a
Pump
second.
a little bit.
You're
So,
fine.
which is why I jumped in the middle and said, like, hey, man, that's probably about, 2.5, 3-point game. Colorado State really outplayed them in Colorado when Colorado was at full bore at the beginning of last year. And, yeah, they put a dirty hit on Travis Hunter, knocked him out of the game and all that. And Colorado State has lost some kids in the transfer portal because I think people saw that game and said, like, man, there's some feisty kids there.
Let's pick 'em up.
So let's pick them up. So they lost some kids. But the game is at Colorado State. And Colorado is coming into that game, I got to say,
Fort Collins going to be rocking.
and they're coming into just a Lions den, and I don't care. They can talk all the bravado they want to, but they are not coming into that game confident. They are not confident in their coaching staff. They are not confident in either one of their lines. They are not confident that Sanders can survive another beating like he's taken the first 2 games of the season.
A couple of weeks ago, on the College Football Connection, we used the term eulogy, a eulogy that we thought maybe perhaps needed to be penned for Clemson University. Let me be the one to stand up here today and say, if we are penning the eulogy for Colorado football in the Deion primetime Sanders era after this weekend, I will not be shedding any tears whatsoever. I am so sick and tired of the circus, of the charade, of the shenanigans in Boulder
I'm on the
for
bus,
him to
too.
be behind
I
the
agree.
podium week after week and stating,
Bradford's
berating, deriding different members of the press, anybody within shouting distance, anybody within that zip code, and saying the same tired, cliched comments about, we can run the football. Oh, you can when you choose to? Oh, let me take it back. Against North Dakota State in week 1, you eked out a victory and you ran for a grand total of 50-plus yards. You ran for about 3 yards per carry. Okay, last week, you fell into a deep hole early on against Nebraska. You're not even attempting to run the football. You ran for 16 yards against a unit that's not going to be confused anytime soon for the old school black shirts, okay?
They're not the black shirts. Took the words right out of my mouth.
You are running for the least yardage in terms of yards per carry in the entire nation. Last season, you also say, oh, we can protect. We're a little shaky so far, but we have our protection issues largely under control with respect to the O-line and Shedeur Sanders. Last season, you allowed the most sacks of any FBS Power 5 team. It is the exact same thing this season. And why is that? Because you didn't go into the portal for the O-line, did you? No, you didn't. Because at the end of the day, we're more worried right now about constructing this offense through and around Shedeur Sanders, because I'm not putting a ton of legitimacy into the reports from earlier this week, whether or not the school band, the university, is giving the okay for his individual song to be played. That's another matter altogether. That doesn't even matter. That's immaterial, because this entire program, and look right now, is about the Sanders show. It usurps anything and everything having to do with the institution, with the football program, with anyone on that team not named Shedeur Sanders or Travis Hunter. To say that this coop is going to be absolutely fled, that they're going to fly after this season, why wouldn't Coach Prime?
Why wouldn't?
I
was thinking, what are you going to have after this year? Because I said the same thing. I think, wait a minute, you got to be kidding me. What, y'all think he's going to stay after his sons are gone? After Travis Hunter's gone? Why? So he can really get his butt whooped? Oh, no. I'm with you so much on that. I still look back like, I actually picked these fools to win that game last week.
You assembled your entire coaching staff based on names and star talent of woebegone guys who have had their primes, no pun intended, long passed by in the form of Pat Sherman. How's that working out? Warren Sapp's a consultant. He's a coach all of a sudden with no regard at all consideration for continuity or what works for the foundation of a team.
I did not expect this. You're spicy tonight, man.
Well, but that whole Colorado thing is old, is tired, and like I said, I'm picking Colorado State to cover if we're going on a 7. Did that move down or did that move up from the last? I think it was, all right, Lisa. All right. So Colorado State, I get them to cover. I don't know what the score is going to be of this one, because it could be lopsided. It could be close. So I don't know. I'm not going to go with it over and under. I will say this, that most college football programs feel exactly the same way you do and I do about Colorado. I think there's one school in the nation that hates them. That's the team that they're playing this Saturday. It's like, wait, we hate you. They showed that last year.
They're just sitting in their dorms.
Right. He said,
right now.
Man, right.
Let's see if Deion has another cordial interaction with the head coach there as well as his wife. Do you want my picks? Do you want my official picks here for this game?
I already know your picks.
I'll keep rolling.
I already know your pick. Buffs in the, CSU in the under.
No, I'll go with the over. And here's why I'll go with the over, for that matter, too. Because Shedeur is going to get his, as is the case, as is the intention, each and every time Colorado steps foot on the football field. He's going to throw for his 3 or 4 touchdowns. He'll get sacked. Well, what was he? He was sacked at least 3 times against Nebraska.
Right.
Maybe more. He may even throw a pick 6. And you know what? We'll see after this game. Another one in which Colorado is destined to either lose outright or to disappoint. If we're willing, once again, if we're so eager to throw others, our teammates, our brethren, under the bus as well. We'll just have to see, won't we? Because I think I know the direction in which those comments will go as well.
Okay, well, with all that, tough to go from there, but with all that being said, I think the Buffs in a rout.
All right.
I think this is just going to be, they're going to.
After last week, Marty?
Yes.
After what they did to you and I?
We saw last year with the point, I just think that's going to come out. I think You're staring into my soul right now.
I hope so, because then we'll be on the path to a Big Ten title, and we won't have to clap back.
Okay, tough to transition from all of that. Alvin.
Yes.
Weekend plans, my
Green
friend?
Tree Festival, please come on out. Hey, we're gonna be dodging maybe some raindrops. That's all right. Gonna parade Saturday morning. Oh man, food vendors, arts, crafts, folklore, thousands of people. Beautiful Saturday, a beautiful Sunday. Come on out, Kirkwood Park. We're there all day.
Okay, and once
Live music throughout.
And what's that Twitter handle once more?
It's A.A. Reid with a capital A-A-R, Jayhawks at X.
I'm going to make sure that my meds are in order for the third consecutive week. A trip to Mid-Missouri, 11:45 a.m. kickoff. We'll see what that attendance figure is like as a top 25 matchup. Mizzou looks to get to 3-0. Boston College aiming to do likewise. BC in the polls, gentlemen. You have to go all the way back to 2018 to find the last time the Eagles were in the polls.
They weren't ranked when they beat Missouri a couple of years ago. A few years
They
ago?
were not, and that was a particularly.
No, I remember that game.
Yeah, I thought they were ranked.
Low moment.
Was that
for
Chestnut
one
Hill?
Eli Drinkwitz.
Yeah, that was.
He has learned from that.
Right. Well,
I remember that.
Yeah, he had clock management. He had decision. He had a lot going on in that game.
He had the bluster and the bravado without the results backing it up.
Yeah.
Quite a different story here.
I agree. I agree.
All right. Well, I'm going to be kicking it with my girls. Mom's in the middle of like a 6-day stretch at the hospital. I'll be hanging out with my girls. We'll go to the baseball card shop during the day on Saturday. 314 Sports Cards, right down the street. The best sports card shop in America. And
Marty,
I'm definitely...
You got to go through my collection, man. I need expertise to check out all I got, man.
Yeah, you've been telling me that for a while. Trust me, I'm excited to see it.
Right.
You may got some Babe Ruth in there from 33.
Not quite. Yeah, right. Not quite.
excited.
But, yeah.
And most importantly, this weekend, I'm looking forward to texting you guys during the Illini game.
Yeah, all right.
All kidding aside, thank you to everyone who tunes in. I got a couple of messages last weekend. People had their TVs set up in their
Yeah, you
garage,
sent us a-
tailgating,
yeah, right.
watching us and the games. It was fantastic. So thank you to everyone who watches on the YouTube and checks out the pod at 101 ESPN. Gentlemen, it was an absolute pleasure.
Always appreciate it, buddy. Enjoy.
Your new nickname's going to be Prime.
You're prime. Yeah, we'll see.
You've been listening to the College Football Connection podcast with Marty Jenkins and Alvin Reid on 101 ESPN Sports Talk for St. Louis.